You're listening to the Total Geek podcast. My name is Sean Bartley, and I'm here with my friends
Leo.
Harris.
We are three aspiring creators who have assembled to do what it is that we do every single day, which is
Assemble.
talk comics, nerd culture in general.
I knew you were going to say that.
And we figured we would just do that in front of microphones for you people out there who have put your time aside to listen to us. So thank you. And Ben Affleck.
Batfleck.
Yes, new Batman.
Yesterday, the news dropped that Ben Affleck is going to be playing Batman in the new Superman movie, which is likely to be titled Batman vs. Superman. Thoughts?
Oh, wow. Really? Really, DC? Really? They dropped the news, I dropped my cup of coffee this morning.
Affleck was the bomb in Phantoms, yo.
That's how bad it was.
Is it that bad?
No, I don't think so.
Me neither.
I think it's horrible.
Why?
I just, Ben Affleck, I don't know.
Well,
I like the guy as a director, as a actor, but I don't know. Seeing him as Bruce Wayne?
Well, people also had problems with Michael Keaton and even Heath Ledger when they were auditioning for the roles. Keep in mind, he wasn't given the role; he auditioned for it. So we don't even know how many people he actually beat out, and he actually beat them to get the role.
I don't know about that, but
Well, you think they just say, "Hey, you're gonna be Batman"? That's it.
I think he probably has some pull, you know. I think he was approached to direct the GLA movie.
That's what I was just going to say, right.
I mean, he was involved in some way or another.
He will have pull to be a director, but as an actor, it's a completely different ballgame.
Well, they want him involved.
They want him involved. That's the whole point.
Yeah, but remember, this is a property that they're banking a lot of money in. So to put him as an actor, he had to have shown something in that audition tape.
Well, to put him in at all in anything, actually, Ben Affleck. I mean, he's not really all his movies. The Town, Gone Baby Gone. What was the other one? That he
Argo.
did? Argo. Have all been grounded. He's a very grounded director. Very political and very urban.
Sure.
We don't know how he works with special effects and this big budget movies. He's never done anything at all,
Right.
to let us know that he can do that. So the fact that they're asking him out of the gate to direct a GLA movie, and all of a sudden he wins the post to be Batman. I mean, it's pretty obvious DC wants him involved in some capacity. So you don't know how much that wanting for him to be involved played into giving him the role, or him accepting the role.
Look, I'm really not too mad at it. I think he is a good actor. I think that he does bring something interesting to the table as Batman. I do have trouble seeing him as Bruce Wayne for some reason.
Yeah, me too.
But I'm not overreacting to this news. I think whoever was casted, the name itself is going to be somebody that we're going to say to ourselves, "Oh, that can't be Batman," because we are so attached to what we've seen.
Yeah, well, we put it on the standard that
it's on a pedestal.
Anybody,
Right?
And the people who everybody will think they'll be too old, or they'll be like, "Oh no, you're too short. You're not in shape enough. You're too known for this." There's always some.
I'm not mad at it. I just saying, like, there's so many actors in Hollywood. You bring Ben Affleck, you bring the Ben Affleck baggage that he brings with himself,
which is
all the.
What, you talking about Daredevil?
Yes, that will maybe one.
The elephant in the room, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
I think that's a poor excuse because there's no such thing as an actor. Like, every actor does a bad movie. Period. At some point in their career.
Unless you're the guy from what's his name? The guy that did the There Will Be Blood, or the Gangs of New York.
Well, Daniel Day-Lewis, when he started his career, he did a couple of bad movies.
The start doesn't count.
It's their entire career. The actors, at one point, they'll do a bad movie. It's just now later in his career that he got clean. He started being smart and picking his scripts.
Well, the thing about Daredevil is that I've seen that movie plenty of times, and I don't think that it was Ben Affleck's fault.
No, that was.
No, but
if you've seen the director's cut and the commentary, the studios royally fucked that movie. Like, when you see the director's cut, it's like leap and pounds better of what you actually saw in theaters, and they tell you all the politics and all the adjustments. that they did it because they wanted it to be more kid friendly, and all it did was water it down so much that people couldn't even watch it; they couldn't bear it.
And another thing is Ben Affleck is hated. When I was this morning at the comic book shop, that was the only thing people were talking about, and they hated him. They hate him.
Sure.
Hate him like they hate him.
Yeah, but to this, I say no. Bad press is still good press.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
you want to
true.
hear the reality about that, though? Every single person who says they hate Ben Affleck is going to go see this movie because they love Batman. It doesn't matter who plays him. They're going to go, and then we're going to judge. That's why I'm holding off, because
They're going to go and rip and shred.
I'm not going to
Yeah,
react
they're
to
going to
something
see if there's something wrong.
Exactly.
But my counterpoint to all those people is this: is that look at the team behind this. The writers was it Kurtzman and Orsi, and director was Zack Snyder, and then you have Nolan producing. And Ben Affleck did 2 movies that were Oscar worthy. One actually won it, and not only as actor, he could put in director's type of input, which is that grounded universe. I don't see that big of a problem.
Well, Nolan isn't producing.
He's not.
No,
He dropped out.
Yeah, he's out.
Oh, that sucks.
He's out.
But
Which might explain the Ben Affleck thing.
all the things that you said are accurate, but the reality is that it doesn't matter. People are going to have their natural reaction. We are impassioned. We love this stuff, and no one could have taken up that mantle. Look at the reaction that was given to Heath Ledger when he was cast as the Joker. Nobody wanted it, but ultimately, what happened? He blew us away, and we revere him now.
I think a lot of people are afraid of that he might not take the role seriously.
That's strange. That's strange.
That's
the reaction.
The reaction of people.
I
Like,
don't understand
well,
that.
he's a jock. He's gonna act like a jock, and
How's he a jock?
well, he has like that. I don't know. Maybe
He
it's
has
the characters that
He has the
plays.
physique, but not much the mentality.
Not the balls for the role.
However,
maybe.
like I do agree the whole thing about he may not take it seriously, but the thing is, it's such a big property, so much money in it, and it's also like it'll be like almost nearly a career killer. Like it'll put him on downswing that he'll probably put his all into it. Really.
Which before he started directing was one of the reasons why he started directing his own movies was because when before he started directing, his career was over. A lot of people did not want to even see him because all the movies he was in, they bombed. And the whole thing with the Jennifer Lopez. I mean, he's loaded. He's hated.
I think the one thing that brought him
Not
back,
only on the comic on the by comic book fans or anybody like that, in Hollywood too.
Sure.
So I don't know if that's going to play a role or not, but it is what it is. They cast him, so let's see what happens. Going forward
with Ben Affleck, I don't even know. Like I know he was hated. The thing that I thought brought him back was Hollywoodland, which was the George Reeves Superman movie.
Yeah.
And he did a fantastic job. That probably brought him back on the radar. But like Sean said, until it comes out, we're not gonna know jack.
Well, now we know also that Matt Damon is going to be involved because he's probably going to be Wonder Boy. Robin.
Robin, yeah.
I don't know about that.
Well, he's always.
I didn't see Matt Damon in Argo. Like,
Oh, he was there. He was somewhere in there.
what? He was like the designated fluffer or something?
Yeah, something like that. They're never too far behind each other.
Do we have any personal picks as to who should have played Batman over Ben Affleck?
Not on top of mine. Do you have?
The only person I kind of thought was Scott Adkins, who was a British martial artist and actor. He's done B movies. He can act a little bit. He does martial arts movies because that's his thing. But he has the whole physique, even the look of actually pulling it off.
I know Nathan Fillion. That's his
Fillion,
name?
yeah.
Fillion, yeah. He said he was not going to do it, even if he was approached, just because he thought that he'll make a very good Bruce Wayne, but a terrible Batman.
And which I would agree.
I do.
Perfect.
And you'll think Ben Affleck have more sense, like to say the same thing.
We'll see. It remains to be seen.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally probably would have preferred a no-name or lower-tier actor. Christian Bale, when he was selected, he was known. He had done some good movies, but he wasn't on everybody's radar the way that a guy like Ben Affleck is.
But I think the attitude is a bit different because when Christian Bale was taken for the role, when he was given the role, people were like, "Wow, that's that's great.
No, people hated him too.
Really? I mean, he's a method actor. A lot of people were like, this guy's
very
going to
few
bring
people went behind him, but come on, it's also that stature of Batman. They're like, really?
No, I think he was cast. People generally, a lot of people even before he was cast wanted him to play that role. It's just, I guess there's that perception. When it was Christian Bale, people was like, wow, this guy's going to bring it. He's a method actor. He's going to take the source material seriously, and he's going to run with it. I don't think people are necessarily thinking about that. When you think Ben Affleck, you don't think that.
Right.
Unfortunately, which is not true. I mean, you gotta give the guy credit. When he does his thing, he does it very well. But I guess it's just the perception of the people.
Well, the other thing is that the climate was different back then in that Batman as a property was kind of floundering. I mean, we just came off the heels of the Joel Schumacher movies.
Nipples.
And Bat Nipples, and no one...
George Clooney,
and no one really wanted, or no one cared where Batman was going at that point. So they just threw shit at the wall to see what would stick, and it worked. But Batman Begins, while critically well received, not that many people went to see it.
And maybe that's the problem.
Initially, until the word of mouth.
The box office numbers for that movie were not too good.
Yeah. And maybe it's that, coming off Christian Bale to Ben Affleck. That's what people, I mean, even though we know they have nothing to do one or the other, but it's also funny that I think there was a report that said that Christian Bale turned $50 million to reprise the role.
Yeah.
So, obviously, if Christian Bale wanted, he could be there. I mean, if you were going to make him older, then why not have Christian Bale? He's probably, that's the age anyway, that they were casting. So, but I guess they didn't want to have, well, I guess not, because they did offer him the part anyway. So I don't know what the intention behind that was.
Well, the thing is, if they were to cast Christian Bale, the question is, how many movies would he actually sign on for, right? How many movies is Ben Affleck even signed on for?
Probably only one,
which
is this one.
Well, but see, that's a problem. Because if we are not going to get a consistent Batman, then how is this going to make sense? If Ben Affleck is supposed to be playing an older Batman, where do you go after him? Is Batman going to die in this movie? Probably not, right? So where do you go next?
And if you want to start Batman in the same universe as Superman by himself, then now you're going to have to hire Ben Affleck to do movies,
right?
Which is opens another can of worms, I guess.
Well, I think it's just an all or nothing type of thing. They're probably not doing so many sign-ons, like, except for Henry Cavill, that I think he signed up for one more movie after this that they put in his contract. But him with Ben Affleck, I think it's just this one because they want to see if it'll work.
Yeah.
Because they're really trying to open the universe, and if it doesn't open it up, they just be like, oh, well, we could just ignore that altogether.
That's a mistake.
Henry Cavill, maybe only 2 movies because they want to see off the gate how the movies are going to do. So they make sure they at least have him for 2 movies. So that might be them thinking behind that.
But the thing is that there's no going back. They've already made these announcements. They've already said their plans. So if the thing with Ben Affleck doesn't pan out, they're still screwed because they've made these announcements.
And it also means that Batman on GLA is going to be Ben Affleck.
Right. So, supposedly. That's what we should be.
That's what DC's been saying.
Right.
Unless it's so confusing because what they say and what they do, it really throws you off.
Well, if he's only signed on for one movie, how do you make sure that he can commit to Justice League, to singular Batman movies? Are we going to get anything like that?
Well, they'll kill him and then recast somebody else as a different Batman, I guess. I mean,
who knows?
Yeah, I mean, who knows?
There's a lot of ways this can play out. I mean, we really don't know, and it's so early to say. So
you'll have Matt Damon for GLA as Batman.
I mean, I don't know.
Matt Damon.
I guess this is just one of those that we're gonna have to sort of put under wraps until more information. Makes itself present.
Imagine it could have been Tom Cruise too. Wow, that would.
Oh no.
Wow.
Yeah, that would have.
Was he?
No, I'm just saying, but he's the right age. I mean, if you.
But he's not the right person. He's
but neither we think is Ben Affleck.
I'm not opposed to Ben Affleck. I have no issues.
Neither do I. But yeah, Tom Cruise is like this small.
Well, they can be
From
fixed.
guys who don't see it, it's like under my
wasn't,
at my knee level.
You know, what was it? The character, what the actor that played Cyclops in the X-Men movies? He's a very short Manson.
George James
Manson.
Manson.
Marson. Is that something?
Yeah, Marston.
James Mars.
Can't believe I didn't know that shit.
They actually constructed a railway for him so he can walk next to the actors.
That's funny.
So he will be like pretty much at the same size as the other actors because he was so short.
Don't break the fourth wall. Don't break the fourth wall.
Oh, I broke the fourth, the fifth, and the sixth right there.
Speaking of
Walls.
Cyclops, Scott Summers, that sort of smoothly transitions into the next.
See how
subject.
I did that?
Days of Future Past. I mean, I'm really excited for this. A lot of people are less excited than me for this. But I feel that this upcoming film is really going to realign the X-Men property for Fox and sort of make something of the nothing that it's been for the past few years. They did have success with First Class, and now they want to make it
Probably the best one.
by far the best one.
Yeah.
And now some success with Wolverine, so they're full steam ahead with their plans to make the X-Men a huge property similar to the Avengers. That's the success level that they're looking at. Are people going to be accepting of the X-Men going forward, given how they failed with X-Men Part 3?
Well, I don't know how they're going to do that. I don't know. Why did they choose that story?
Days of Future Past?
Yeah.
Because they want to use the time travel as a device to sort of write the course of the X-Men franchise.
Okay.
It's like rewriting those three movies without actually rebooting it.
Right.
So they exist. They'll exist in the universe, but not necessarily.
Well, what it looks like is that by the end of this, we're going to have a team of X-Men. We're going to have a core cast that's going to go forward with the next series of X-Men movies. They're using this movie as a device to get us there because Scott is dead. Professor X was dead.
Is he?
Yeah, he was blown up by Jean Grey in the movie that you did not see.
Good job.
So many things were done, and so many X-Men didn't get their time to shine. So many X-Men were... Colossus, he did...
X-Men.
Well, Iceman, that was a pretty big fail with Iceman.
Yeah.
I think that it's a good thing, there's no other way they could do it. They could reboot it, but then we lose Hugh Jackman, right? We lose Magneto, and we lose Professor Xavier. Those
And
Ian
Hugh
McKellen.
Jackman-
No, they can just reboot and not acknowledge the.
Then again, Hugh Jackman and
He
some
probably
of the
doesn't
X-Men
have-
who played the X-Men, they already signed on for like future deals for that. They still have like 3 or 4 movies left under the contracts. Rebooting is not an option.
I don't believe that is true at all. Actually,
Before they did X-Men 3, Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, James Marsden, Halle Berry, they were signed on for 4 more movies. Hugh Jackman was signed on for 6.
that's not true, man. How come James Marsden was allowed to get out of his contractual obligation?
He forfeited. They don't have a problem releasing. We don't have to pay you? Fine.
All right.
Well, they did kill the character.
That too.
So I guess he was really released in more ways than one.
And unlike, Patrick Stewart, if you didn't see the end of X3, fuck it. It's already so old that it's now a spoiler.
Spoiler alert.
That you hear, Professor X speaking at the end of the movie through somebody else's body. So Patrick Stewart will be there in some type of capacity.
Well, that's old news. This is a spoiler, so if you haven't seen Wolverine, you should skip ahead. In the after credit scene of Wolverine, Wolverine is going through a airport security. He sees on a screen the commercial for Trask Industries, and then time freezes and Magneto and Professor X come to Wolverine and tell him that there's a threat and that they need his help, etc. So they're definitely back.
Okay. They probably have to do those movies quickly too. I mean, those 2 guys are not that young anyway.
Right. Well, but here's the thing, though. Here's a really interesting thing. We have to remember that First Class has its own set of Professor X and Magneto. So those two actors could be the ones who they move on with for the new crop of X-Men films. They may not need Ian McKellen and
Stewart.
Patrick Stewart going forward.
Yeah,
And Hugh Jackman can stay the same because part of Wolverine's character is that he doesn't change his look at all. So he's nearly immortal.
Well, we gotta see. You gotta see. I don't know. I think I read some report that Hugh Jackman said something like he didn't know how many more times he could do.
Yeah, he did say that.
Training, it's stressful.
Because he goes all out.
I read that.
I read that, but like I don't know.
But the thing is that he did also say that the Wolverine character still intrigues him, and he's still interested in it, and he would love to. That was the last quote that I read after the Wolverine movie came out.
Yeah, they pay him enough millions. He'll forget about.
Not only
the
that,
pains
it's like
he makes.
you don't really see him do much of anything else except for like maybe Les Miserables, which came out.
Well, you know,
He doesn't
he
do
might
much
be.
other flicks.
Yeah. Well, he's done a lot of Broadway.
Broadway, right.
So he's doing a lot of Broadway. Yeah. He's doing a lot of hosting and doing all these things. Right. And like he says, every time he has to play Wolverine, he has to go through this whole process of a year of training and lifting weights and not eating food or whatever, whatever it is that they do. So, he's 43?
Is he?
I think he's like 43.
He's a little bit older.
Or older. I mean, that takes a toll on your body.
Sure.
Not only the acting and the aggression that you have to bring forward when you're playing Wolverine, but the physical nature of the character.
I think we have him for a few more years.
Yeah, I think he has 2 more movies, maybe, probably.
Yeah.
Whether there's the X-Men or Wolverine by itself, that's the different story. But
right.
But then again, if they're doing the Days of the Future Past, is it?
Yeah.
They might cast another guy as a younger Wolverine.
That's always possible.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe that answers the question why they chose that story.
Well, I think Hugh Jackman is to X-Men what Robert Downey Jr. is to the Avengers, and Fox would love to keep him on as long as they possibly can. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't look to them trying to replace him too soon, but I can imagine that within the next 5 years, we would hear something about a
He'll probably be like, "Oh, I'm done."
Yeah, but again, that role of Tony Stark is not as physically demanding as the one that Hugh Jackman has to do.
What I meant was that Wolverine, he's as important.
Of course, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. They're hitching their wagons completely on that character.
He's the linchpin.
Yeah. So I don't know.
He's the Ben Affleck.
I wouldn't say I wouldn't go there. I wouldn't do that.
No. That's a fail on you.
So to switch things over to the comic end of the spectrum, we've had some.
Anybody reads that anymore? Okay.
We've had some events launch, right? So Infinity, the first issue just came out 2 weeks ago.
Correct.
Trinity War is alive and kicking, going strong, and people are screaming event fatigue. We had Age of Ultron just finished 2 months ago, I believe it was, and Infinity start 2 months after, so pretty much right after. We were hearing things about Infinity before Age of Ultron was even done. So people are feeling the weight of this. They're feeling the weight of these events taking a toll on our pockets, etc. And I think it's a topic worth discussing. I've always felt that event fatigue is as important as the quality of the books, in the sense that if a book is good, you won't complain about the fatigue, but if it's bad, then you will. You guys, how do you feel about that?
I have a lot of feelings for this, and I think you remember this, Sean, but remember when we went to Comic-Con, we went to a panel a couple years ago, and we were sitting there, and somebody went up and asked the question, he's like, why are we having so many events back to back? And he tried to say, isn't it a bit much for not giving people to breathe and say, but if you're not looking forward to something, you're not going to buy the comics. But now, what he was trying to explain, which is happening now, is just that you're overwhelming people, not giving them a chance to breathe and to discover books, or having books develop their own story if it's not revolved around an event. It kind of makes your storylines weak after a certain point. Once an event is done, you're like, oh no, you got to go on the crutch of another one. and another one, and then another one. There's some books that have that exception, but for people who are like, you know what, it's enough already, I just want to read a couple of books that doesn't have to revolve around it.
Well, I think what people are complaining is about that they drag the events. They probably make them longer than what they are necessary. And like you said, it comes 12 issues, and that leads to another 12 issues of something.
Well, it's also because every event has like, oh, you have tie-ins here, so if you're going to need to know this, you're going to have to go to this issue, this issue. I know it makes some money, but people are going to get tired of being like, oh, I have to buy 5 or 6 different books that I do not read nor have any interest in.
And this is nothing new. I mean, the whole time that I've been collecting and reading comic books, it's been the same thing. It's the same complaint. And I guess the only answer to that is that just read the events that you want to read, and ignore the ones that you don't.
I really think that that's what it boils down to.
Yeah,
I think a lot of readers don't have the ability to control themselves to where they don't have to compulsively buy everything that comes out.
Sure.
Personally, I've always, my first event was Civil War, and when that came out, I didn't really understand how tie-ins worked or anything like that. But I bought what I already bought. So at the time, I was reading Captain America and Iron Man, for example. So I picked those up in conjunction with Civil War, and I got a tale that was fine for me, right?
Yeah.
And I think that Marvel, in particular, has actually gotten better with requiring less tie-ins to get a full picture of the storyline. Nowadays, tie-ins typically will tell a very specific story about that specific book's world. So if you buy a tie-in to Infinity that is a Daredevil tie-in, nothing in that book is going to happen that's going to affect the entirety of the story. More like it'll affect Daredevil's universe, right?
Okay.
So that's great, and I'm happy with that. The other thing that I'm happy with is that most books don't tie in anymore. Back then, you would get a tie-in for Daredevil, a tie-in for Cap, Thor, Iron Man. All these different characters.
For every book.
Right, a tie-in for every book. Civil War tied into pretty much every book.
Yeah, company-wide.
Right. And it would take over maybe your favorite book, and now your favorite book has to deal with something that you may not care about.
Yeah.
Well, those days are over.
They have to
for the
hold
most part.
they have to hold their storytelling.
Right.
Their storyline.
Right.
In order to jam in that event.
Right.
Or the whatever, however the event affects them.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, I don't care about this event.
Right.
Let's go back to the story you were telling.
Yeah.
Or not necessarily you don't care about the event. You just don't care about the effect that it's having on the book that you want to read.
Yeah. Some books still do fall victim to that. But I think overall Marvel has cleaned it up a lot. That being said, I do understand that complaint. That is a valid complaint. If your favorite book has to get sucked into an event that you don't care about, and then the book typically will dip in quality, that's understandable. My thing is where it doesn't resonate with me, the event fatigue complaint, is where people are complaining about the event itself. It's like, okay, if you don't want to read it because you feel tired of events, don't buy it.
Correct. Yeah.
Catch up on Wikipedia, you know.
Yeah, there you go. But it's an old age complaint. This is nothing new.
Sure.
Ever since we had an industry that, and the publishers, they want to, comic book publishers, they want to sell their low selling comics. So they tie it into these bad books that were bad to begin with, and then they force these storylines down their throat. So that's what happens.
Right. Well, but here's a question: if the events were unilaterally good, if they were always good, would people complain?
No.
Wow.
Why not?
Because they'll be entertained.
Right. I suppose I see that.
If they, like you said, like if they don't like and it's dipping in quality, and then they're like, it feels like it's a waste of money, of course they're gonna complain.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, they complain even if the good book was good anyway.
I think you're right. Honestly,
Maybe not. Because if
it's too long, they're making me buy too many things. It wasn't.
Unless if it's on par with what they're already reading, or it's even better. Most of them neglect. There was going to be somebody who's going to complain about something. That's never going to end. That always happens at anything.
Especially if they're fanboys.
Anything that's entertainment, really. But the majority of complaints are just people who just like they're tired of seeing the quality dip, and then they're going to be like, why is the story sucking now? And then it has to deal too much about this. And like you said, they could catch up later. But what if that's, one of the very few titles or all their titles are involved in it? They're like, damn, I don't have anything to read now.
Right.
And I know a couple people are like that. They only have like 2 or 3 books, and then they'll be like, "Oh, all 3 of my books have been taken over. What the hell am I going to do now?"
Yeah, well, they take hostage a storyline, and then
Yeah.
and you feel like you're being interrupted.
Yeah, I mean, I see the point. I do. But I feel that it's less of an issue now than it used to be, and
Yeah, before it was annoying.
I mean, when you look at some of the complaints that we've had about Infinity, even before it was launched, it's like, okay, do we need this? Why is this happening? I'm fatigued with this already. I'm over it. Whatever, and I know that for me, I'm never more excited for comics than when there's an event happening. When there's not, I feel that there's a lack of a sense of togetherness. There's a lack of synergy between the books in the sense that we know they all exist in the same universe. How come things aren't happening that call them all together? So,
but there's way of showing like the repercussions of an event in a book without necessarily joining the event. I'm not a big fan of events. I never was, even in the old days, just because of that. Because it just, you have to buy so many books, and I think that's what you're referring to. That now you don't have to.
Right.
The event title is the event title.
Yeah.
And that's it. Yeah, but before it used to take over every book, like you said. So, but yeah, they're doing a better job now with that.
Or if you're broke like me, wait a
There
year
you
later
go.
and just getting trades.
right.
Correct. And that's another way of.
I mean, over on the DC side of things, you have Trinity War, which is taking over books, right? But the story that's being told is the same sort of, it's Trinity War throughout all the books. They also
but
did
is it only on the GLA books only?
Yeah, it's on the Justice League books only, but those books, whatever storyline they were telling before is over now, and
Correct.
you're
Yeah,
into this Trinity War thing. And they also did it with Green Lantern, with the Wrath of the First Lantern or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They also did it with Batman. They did it with what was that event? Joker event. Death of the Family.
Yeah.
They did it with that, and they also did it with the Owls, the Court of Owls.
Court of Owls.
Court of Owls, yeah.
Right.
Which was the previous.
I actually am more opposed to that way of doing events than I am the Marvel end, because I don't want to buy Justice League. Though.
Yeah,
for example, not to say that it's a bad book. It's just not something I pick up. I don't want to have to add to my pickup list in order to follow the actual event.
Correct.
I agree.
When I was picking up Wrath of the First Lantern, I held so vehemently to my beliefs about not picking up books for the sake of an event that I only read the event through the lens of the Green Lantern core title. So there's a lot I don't even know about that event because I just didn't want to buy those books.
You didn't want to buy the regular Green Lantern books? Or?
No, I only bought the regular Green Lantern book.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said Green Lantern Corps.
No, core, like the core,
okay,
the core
core
title.
books.
The core titles, the main one.
Right, and I left the other ones to go, so I don't know what happened other than what happened in that book. And I think that's a repercussion of these line-wide events.
But did you feel when you were reading that something important was not told?
Yes.
In the story?
Yes, but I found that I was so sort of disgusted with the way the story was told that I didn't care.
I agree with you there. I really did not like that storyline at all.
It was cool for me, but because so much was happening in so many books, I just kind of it lost me quickly.
Okay.
But I don't know. I think the event fatigue thing is something we're never going to stop debating. People are always going to have.
Well, there's the opposite. There's a lot of people that actually love the events. So
Which I fall into that.
yeah.
Well, as long as they're making money, it's not going to end.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the
that's
major
the whole
issue.
purpose of the events.
A lot of people who complain about events still buy them, and I don't understand that logic. If you don't want to read it, don't buy it.
But they love
That's what
misery.
I say.
Ultimately, that's what it comes down to.
Ignore the events.
Yeah, just act like it's not happening.
Exactly.
But people refuse to do it, and you see this
Some
argument.
people
every day.
feel compelled they need to buy every damn book that comes out.
Right.
And
I understand.
then they want to
that.
complain to the creators. Well,
Yeah.
you make me buy. No,
Right.
nobody's making you. Just don't buy it.
I understand wanting to follow the storyline that's going on in the universe. So for Marvel, you want to follow what's happening with your favorite characters. But if you're going to complain about the event, then just follow it online. Go on the forums and read the spoilers and whatever else, and that's it. Call it.
You
a day.
should only complain if the event takes over your favorite book in the middle of a storyline, and you don't want to you want to see the story you were reading end.
Right. Or maybe
Or
the
being
event,
told the way that it was supposed to.
yeah, maybe the event is not up to par, and that's something you can certainly complain about. If it's bad, then yeah, sure. I hated, Fear Itself, for example. But that didn't make me not want there to be events. It just made me want there to be better events.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the quality probably wasn't good, so.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. For me, there are people
So
who
that
love
was
it.
not even that was
I
not
didn't
a
like
good event. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, they're gonna force events, and they encourage you, and they want all these things, all these titles titles to sell.
yeah,
So so they'll keep doing it, and as long as people keep buying it, they'll keep doing it. So
yeah.
that's the only answer. Just don't buy it, don't consume it. They won't produce it.
I'm completely in agreement there. Don't buy it, and if you're gonna buy it, don't complain. Don't go to the
Correct.
IGN forums. Don't go
Exactly.
to CBR.
If you willingly do it, nobody's putting a gun to your head. If you went and pay money for a book,
Yeah,
now you can complain that you didn't like it, but don't complain if you're consuming it.
exactly. Don't go to any of the forums and
Correct.
complain because it is a nuisance.
But it's fanboys. They do it.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I mean,
they'll do it anyway.
I hate to throw that term around. It's
Well, it is what it is.
such a vile term. We need to take that back and make it mean something good.
Yeah, like actual fans.
Right.
Nah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Posers.
Yeah, but that sort of the event whole thing takes me. Of course, we're in the comics section of the podcast, and I kind of want to talk about characters that we like, characters that we're fans of, who more recently, because of the changes in the universes that we follow, have been displaced. Characters that may have died
Mostly
recently.
the whole DC universe.
Yeah.
I miss the DC universe. That's the character that
I do miss the DC universe. I miss Superman. I miss old Superman. I'll start. I miss Damian Wayne. He was just killed,
Yeah.
and I miss Damian Wayne.
Yeah, I'm surprised they killed him.
Bad thing is I didn't even read that storyline, but I want to, and I'm like, God, why? He was so good.
He was a great character. He was a great character with a lot of potential. It's very clear to me that he's not going to remain dead, even though they claim that he was supposed to die from, I think, the first storyline that he was introduced. He was supposed to be dead.
And plus, they have shown him in the future.
Oh, have
they?
they? Well, yeah.
Yeah,
well,
issue 666.
Yeah, sure.
And,
but those are not
Those are
definite things.
Those are like Elseworlds.
yeah, those are alternate realities. That could happen.
I thought Grant Morrison said, because remember, he's cloned. He's cloned, no?
No, there's a clone. There are clones of him, but he is the original.
He's a genuine article.
Oh, he's a general. Okay.
Yeah, and
because
with him, too, where his
I read
Lazarus pit.
Batman Incorporated ended like that. They killed Talia al Ghul. Spoilers.
Spoiler, I haven't read it.
Oh.
You had
Come
to
on,
ruin
it's been
it,
months
didn't you?
ago.
I know.
Towards Lazarus pit, she's not going to stay dead.
Exactly. Neither is Roz, which I'm not even sure where he is.
He's alive.
Yeah, none of these characters are going to stay
Well,
dead.
they can always bring him back, but well, I'm not gonna spoil it. Just read it, and you'll understand what I mean when she's dead.
Yeah, sure. Flash, right? Isn't there a Flash who has vanished?
Oh,
The original
no,
Flash?
there's a couple of them that vanished.
Yeah.
Right?
Because they were, you had, let me see, who's the current one?
Wally West, right?
No, isn't it Bart? Not
Barry
Bart,
Allen.
Barry Allen.
Okay.
Barry Allen is a current
Yeah,
one right now.
Wally's like disappeared. Bart was killed and then not killed and then not mentioned ever again. Nobody talks about Max Mercury because he's the only one like fell over from the old universe that he's still the guardian of Speed Force. He lives in that thing. But yeah, that whole thing is really weird ever since John's left it.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna go into it because even that like hurts my head trying to think of like why.
Now, we got to remember, just because we don't see them doesn't mean they're not in the DC universe.
Like the DC universe.
Yeah, like the DC universe.
It appears pretty clear that if they're there, there's a deliberate reason why they haven't been addressed at this point.
Correct.
Either because they don't exist, or there's a story waiting to be told with these characters. But there are some more egregious, sort of outright denials of character, like Stephanie Brown. Where's Stephanie Brown? Batgirl? she's nowhere to be found. I have no clue where that character is.
She was around and then completely fell
A
off.
fan favorite,
Wait,
by the
I
way,
think she
Stephanie
was-
Brown.
She
Right.
was
The
she was
spoiler,
in,
I think. She was?
Spoiler,
The
yeah.
spoiler,
She was in the Birds of Prey book.
I don't believe there's been a Birds of Prey book
Exactly.
since New 52.
No, there was.
There was?
There was a whole. I dropped it because I wasn't in comics for a while, so I haven't listened to it in a couple months. So I know she's definitely there. So they had her undercover and all that stuff, and even the Birds of Prey has a completely different lineup than what it originally was. The only two original people is maybe Black Canary, and then they added Poison Ivy.
The Birds of Prey book was there. I don't know.
I think it's still ongoing.
In any event, I haven't seen Stephanie Brown
No,
in a long
she's-
time,
she's-
and
she's
a lot
in
of
that
fans,
book.
a lot of fans are upset
with
that she
DC,
hasn't
so,
appeared.
Well,
Yeah.
I think her
So-
issue is that she hasn't appeared in other books, and then even in that book, they just completely phased her out.
Yeah. That was another upcoming character, just like Damian Wayne, that a lot of people liked, and they're just mad that they're not there.
I personally missed, even though this book got canceled, and to me it was just the fault of bad timing, not having a consistent writer, and even the first story was that bad, and that was Static.
Static, okay. I did not read that.
And he's a character that, 90s and early 2000s, his popularity, all of a sudden, after a cartoon, shot up. And,
Yeah. He was primed to be one of those.
And to me, that's dropping the ball, really.
Yeah, DC really mishandled that character. I mean, considering how popular he was.
Totally agree. I know that there was a lot of beef when the Static book launched with the New 52.
Okay.
I think it went on about 7 issues, I want to say. Was it 3 issues?
3 issues because they changed writers twice, and then both the change of writers and change of artists dropped.
Which is a big problem over at DC. They keep changing artists and writers. They keep losing creative team. I don't understand how they...
I give Marvel its credit. They have artists and writers together at runs. DC is a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, it's very inconsistent.
Unless if you're on certain books, maybe Superman or something, yeah, you're going to have an artist 4 or 5 issues. And even then, that's iffy.
Even then, you're going to get an issue too where I was reading Batwoman. With the art is fantastic.
Absolutely.
It's
That's
amazing.
an amazing book. Yeah.
But
I wouldn't know.
right in the middle of the run, they changed the artist, and the first book, the main artist of the book, which is one of the writers,
H. Williams.
H. Williams, his artwork is so amazing that to get somebody else at that level, it really shows, and they got somebody that's not even close to him, and oh my god, that ruined the story.
I think the art is great in that book, but from what I remember, I don't know if this is still intact, but from what I recall, he's actually been switching off. So for an arc, he'll do the art, and then for the other art, he won't do the art. That's what I recall.
Okay,
That may have been pre-New 52, but I'm not clear.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
think
positive.
there was issue 8, 9, and 10 that another artist
Yeah.
did, but it was so bad compared to.
You can't really compare to that, It's like comparing to Alex Ross. You
Yeah,
can't
but
really do it.
usually you get an artist that's kind of like Invincible. Invincible, remember?
Oh, what? But that one is the funny thing about that one is that it was started by
Cory Walker.
And
But
then
then-
Ryan Otley took over, but he did not change his art style at all, which is amazing.
But that's what I'm saying. Usually, what you try to do is you try to get an artist that kind of mirrors the artist that he just took off. Or took off the book for a couple of issues.
That's a rarity in the business, though. Very rare to find somebody who's able to do that.
Well, they aim for it. It doesn't mean you're gonna get it, but that's what they aim for.
Well, as a collector, one of the most frustrating things about reading comic books is that in today's era is that you would like your run to be as artistically consistent as possible for the collectors, from the collector's point of view, and then you get to an arc where the art is totally different. and it really ruins that sense of continuity when
Yes,
you've got
it does.
these just totally
Which is-
different.
It completely throws you off.
Yeah,
into
Which
the
is
dark.
one of the fantastic things that Invisible has is that the consistency of the same. I mean, it's amazing. In this day and age, that Ryan Oatley has done so many books.
They're,
I mean,
what is
it's
it? They're up to issue 104. And it's
104, and I think of the 104, he has done like 94 of them, or something like that.
He took over after issue 20.
Issue 20. Okay, there you go. So that's a lot of pages. That's a lot of comic books.
Yeah.
And month after month, he keeps surprising with the amount of stuff that they throw at him. And
That book has an inconsistent release schedule, though.
Well, that's
it's kind of
mostly because
easier.
it's also because of Kirkman. Kirkman took
Yeah.
a lot of projects, and he had to dump like 2 of his books, and then working on
it's been pretty good in the last
Does-
issues. They've been coming out.
yeah, because Kirkman
Pretty much.
he stays the writer. Like nobody else has written a story in that.
I bought issue 100, and that was months and months and months ago. That was a while ago.
Yeah.
I have a clarification. Stephanie Brown has not appeared in a DC comic book since Flashpoint.
Wow,
Well, that's a long time.
Yeah.
that's
So, and she is no longer considered
alive.
a Batgirl. She's not considered having been a Batgirl.
Been Batgirl.
Yeah.
Because they have Barbara Gordon now,
Right.
which that's probably why.
That is
Well,
pretty terrible.
With the condensation of time, it really doesn't make sense that they had all this time for all these Robins, which is another issue in and of itself. But I'm shocked that she was not considered. In fact, she was a Robin for a time, wasn't
Yeah.
she? She was.
She was a Robin.
Robin.
And it's shocking to me that they sort of wipe her history away.
That means like whenever they try to do something with Tim Drake, it's like Tim Drake ignored that ever happened.
That's another character I don't think I've seen, Tim Drake. Did they erase him when they did the
No,
52?
he's
Yeah,
Red Robin.
he's around.
Oh, he's Red Robin now.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
He actually has a full cowl. And,
I guess he was a Robin at one point, but they just never showed it. Or he just became Tim Drake too.
well, the
he's
compressed
Red Robin.
the compressed storyline, it's really like he said, it's really muddled.
Okay.
They ignore certain things, and then they're like, "Oh no, you're Red Robin, but that's what you are." But then in another book, he's a leader of Teen Titans with a Robin costume.
No, he's always been Red Robin.
He's always been Red Robin.
For New 52 continuity, he's only ever been Red Robin.
Okay, he's
Yeah.
never been Robin.
Because
Okay.
I thought in
never
Teen
been
Titans
Robin.
they
Okay,
you
so
know, he has the crab
He's
mask
never
on.
been Robin.
They did address it.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what we stand with that character, I guess.
This is a character who's very controversial. But I miss this character. This Century.
The
Marvel.
Century. Oh, yeah.
It was like you either liked him or hated him.
Yeah,
Pretty
I
much.
was not really into that character.
It was a great storyline, even great how. How?
Oh, it was terrible how he went out. Come
Oh,
on, man.
you mean the? How did he actually go out?
He went out in Siege, and Loki has the Norn Stones. He grants people powers so that Captain America's shield can actually hurt the Sentry / Void. That was pretty terrible. And then Iron Man ends up dropping the shield helicarrier onto the Sentry / Void, and he's down. And then he gets back his sort of consciousness. He fights it back for it, and he tells Thor to kill him because if he doesn't, he's going to kill them. So Thor kills him.
Crap. Okay, crap.
I remember reading that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even read it.
Yeah, I remember reading that, but it was a while ago when that came out. Yeah.
That just sounds as bad as Kryptonite Mountain.
I knew that the Sentry was going to die. I'm not happy with how it happened, and I have doubts that they'll ever use him again, which is sad to me because I thought he was a fantastic character. But most people do not agree with that.
Yeah, well, I guess that the old joke on comic books, only Robin stays dead, doesn't apply anymore. So
No one stays dead.
no one stays dead.
Except Uncle Ben. Uncle Ben stays dead. And Gwen Stacy.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Those are two.
Yeah.
Unless they're doing the movies.
And Pa Kent. Pa Kent stays dead.
He died.
Yeah.
They
Again?
killed him a while ago.
Nobody has died more in comic books than Jean Grey.
Nope.
She dies like every 5 years.
And it's
He owns the record.
it's so sad because she is my favorite character. Yes.
I
Jean Grey is
remember
my
one
favorite
time
character.
reading, what
Does it
was
border
it?
necrophilia?
No. Yeah, she is
She,
as her namesake, the Phoenix.
yeah, there you go. Maybe that's why.
Exactly.
But there's a rule in Marvel that she must, every 5 years she must die, or put in a cocoon and throw her into a lagoon
Or
something.
relive the entire moment.
Oh, yeah.
Well, now they have her back as a part of the X-Men. Actually, the entire first class is back. They
Yeah.
were brought from the past to the future, so she's hanging out. And
She's hanging out with her future self.
no, her future self is dead.
Oh, that's nice to know.
Yes,
If you're Jean Grey.
she's been dead.
Oh, I'm
for
dead.
years.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that
guess
was an
I'm okay with
interesting
that.
moment.
Yeah.
Oh, why are you looking at me like that? We haven't had a relationship. Why are you stalking me? Fucking Wolverine's a creeper.
Yeah. I mean, so now you got two Cyclops and
Since we're talking about Marvel characters I miss in Marvel, I was gonna say Hyperion, but he recently made a comeback.
Swagger Supreme.
I'm not gonna say what book it is because in case people haven't read it. And believe it or not, there was a character who was introduced, and then they had him in little small things, and this was Gravity. Anybody remember Gravity?
Don't remember that. Gravity.
No.
Marvel?
Yeah.
No.
Wait a second. I think I do remember.
And
him.
he was even in the Spider-Man book.
Yes,
They had him team
yes,
up.
yeah, I do-
Because
I
they were
remember.
trying to introduce a brand new character.
Yeah.
They had him be the brand new Quasar for maybe like a self-contained book for a one-shot. That was it? Ego, the Living Planet, like brought him back, and then after that, it was just like nothing else happening. He showed up in Initiative in the background, but
Okay.
his 6-issue run, like it was actually really good.
All right. It's Speedball still in Marvel?
Yeah,
Yep.
back as
Oh, good. All right. I was saying I was going to miss him, but
I mean, well, you didn't know he was back, so that's
Exactly.
fair that you do
I,
miss him.
I thought they killed him off when they did the whole.
Merry Christmas, motherfucker.
Well, I don't know. He has such a great name, Speedball.
Yeah. Any books that we're reading this week that we have any comments on?
I read a book called Trillium, I believe, which was pretty good.
That's cool.
Don't know yet what it is about. It's kind of confusing. Time travel, something like that.
Is that a digital comic?
No,
Okay.
it's a. I wish I remember who published it. I think it's a Vertigo,
Okay.
but very, very solid first issue. Very, very, very interesting. So people should go out there and try to read it.
That's cool.
I caught up on Trinity Wars. I'm up to date with that. And I'm really liking the story. And I just finished reading Infinity, which I'm still processing to a point. I have like very small problems, and that's just I spoke with this with Leo before, and that was just problems that they didn't pay attention to the artwork
Yeah.
according to the story, that they should have thought of it better. But other than that, I think the story is very solid, and people should read it. It's just if you have problems like I did with the artwork and stuff, completely forget it, because the story is a lot more important than those one or two art mistakes that I caught.
Well, I'm a little bit behind on my books. Not exactly caught up with Infinity yet, but I do have a concern despite that. My concern is that for as long as I've been reading Jonathan Hickman comics, which I started with Secret Warriors, I don't know if you guys
Edit.
I did not.
well, that book was incredible until about the last arc, and then it floundered and sort of went out with a whimper. That's not the only time that that's happened with him. I read his Ultimates run, which ended very similarly, although he did sort of leave in the middle of it, but it started to show signs of him building it up as this grandiose thing and then not really knowing exactly where to go. He loves to do these stories about wheels and builders and ancient people and things like
Very
that.
sci-fi.
Well, he
Right.
paints himself into a corner.
And then once it comes time to pay off, it seems as though he's not sure how to do that. I think he has a story that he's been trying to tell for many years, and hopefully this time around it works.
He nails it.
You're right. Hopefully this time he nails the landing. But I actually trust him. I think he's an incredible writer. His pieces of Age of Ultron, well, no, not Age of Ultron, sorry. His pieces of Avengers versus X-Men were actually some of the better written pieces of the book. So I'm interested to see what he's going to do with his own event. I'm excited.
Okay. I read Infinity. I thought it was a very solid book. I like the fact that it was longer than the usual book.
Yeah.
Because it just helps the story.
Right.
And helps the art.
And didn't it include the Infinity free comic book day issue? I believe I did read that it did.
I didn't not notice that. Did you notice that, Harry, when you read the book?
It's towards the back. It's,
Oh, you mean they had like 2 or 3 pages that had like something else?
yeah, that it's a story about. I guess it's Thanos having his goons sort of do.
Yeah, it was at the end of the book.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. Okay,
It was like
yeah,
2 or 3
yeah.
pages that you were like, wait, oh, this is something else. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so yes.
I like that they added that. I like that they added a way of catching people up who may not have read that, just so it's a seamless reading experience.
Yeah, I read it and I felt like I had enough information
Yeah.
to start from that book on, even though I did not know what to this point I did not know what had happened in the Avengers or so it does that very well.
That's good.
It does
That's
that
good to
very
hear.
well to catch up
The
catch up
readers?
with the readers.
Yeah, that's great.
And so that it does very well. The art is very very good also. So that was a very good book. Yeah, very solid book.
Good. That's really glad to hear that. Anything else? Any other books you guys want to mention? Shout out.
No,
no,
read
the
Wonder
word-
Woman.
Read Wonder Woman.
Woman, yeah.
I need to read Wonder Woman. I'm slacking.
Other than that, I'm waiting for the next Invincible issue.
Yeah, me too. I'm looking forward to that.
Next Aquaman.
There you go. Yeah, all that.
The Wake. Which
Yes, The
that
Wake.
I got caught up, so yeah, I'm waiting for those books to drop because I'm really curious. I wouldn't say I read the. You
I
showed
want
me.
to see where the Wake goes. Because,
Yeah, you showed me Detective Comics and the current thing.
You like Detective, but it's been solid.
Book I'm reading, Lazarus. I think I mentioned it last time.
Yes, you did.
Written by Greg Rucka.
Mm-hmm.
Second issue, I believe it was. Yeah. the
Oh,
second issue
actually,
just came out. Very
Saga came out 13.
good. Yes, the return of Saga.
Yes.
Very happy with that.
And
Definitely.
nothing much happened story wise. It mostly was a catch up issue.
Yeah.
For people that wanted to start reading Saga.
Go out and pick that up. That's a fantastic.
But that's a fantastic book. Yeah, very very solid book.
Definitely.
And pick up issue 13 if you haven't read it.
Pick up the trade.
Yeah, pick up
Brian
the trades and
K.
then
Vaughan.
pick up issue 13.
Yellow Staples.
Yeah, it's a new jumping point there.
Very good. Mm-hmm. All right, so I think we're ready to wrap up. And you bring us full circle.
There we go.
Damon!
That's my job. Rail them in.
Thank you for listening. We'll be back next week at some point.
Yeah, hopefully with some more books.
Yeah. That's about it. Take care, guys.
We'll give you a whole week to process the Ben Affleck thing.
This is Sean Bartley,
Leo.
Harris.
and this has been the Total Geek Podcast. Signing off. Thanks for listening, guys.
Bye-bye.